Hello, folks. Welcome to another edition of the Dr. Mark Foster Show. It has been a while since my last broadcast. I'm also trying something different this time, showing you my face. I hope it's not too frightening for you. I am not particularly photogenic, so I apologize for that. But I figured that I would give this a shot this time. I guess it's been about 2 or 3 years, come to think of it, since the last time that I did one of these programs. Today, I'm going to be speaking to you as a member of the Baha'i faith, which is my religion, a religion that I converted to back in late 1970 when I was 14 years old. I was born Jewish. My parents were Jewish, non-practicing Jews for the most part. They, like many New York City Jews, did not belong to a temple or synagogue or shul. And I was bar mitzvahed in a, I guess it was through a Reform Hebrew school, but I'm not positive about that. Joel Bernstein's Hebrew School in Bayside, Queens. But I became a Baha'i because I was looking for a fresh monotheistic faith. And I loved Judaism in the sense of its monotheism, but I was somewhat turned off by the fact that from a Jewish perspective, revelation had basically ended. In addition, I also, at that time, no longer, believed in reincarnation, and I believed in Jesus, but not in the way that Christians did. So I was drawn to various Eastern faiths, including Sikhism in particular, founded by Guru Nanak Dev, and Ekankar, which is about a second or third generational splinter group from Sikhism. And both of those religions taught a belief in Jesus, as well as Mohammed and Buddha and Krishna and Zoroaster and so on. One day I was in Macy's department store in New York, and I saw a book called The Dynamic New Religion, the Baha'i Faith, by the late Jessica Russell Gaver. I purchased the book, and without reading it, I only read the back cover. I, for some reason, at 14, decided that the Baha'i faith was true. So I looked up Baha'i in the phone book, spoke with a person on the other end named Elizabeth Thomas, now deceased. She became my closest friend. And within 2 days, I had joined the Baha'i faith. There are some misunderstandings that some people have about the Baha'i faith. This is not an introduction to Baha'i faith video. If you want that, there are certainly plenty of those on YouTube. This is a discussion of a particular subject within the Baha'i faith, namely the guardianship. One thing that Abdu'l-Baha, who is a central figure in the Baha'i faith and the son of the prophet, founder of the Baha'i faith, Baha'u'llah, one thing that Abdu'l-Baha said is, in his will and testament, is that there needs to be a guardian, and so he appointed one. He appointed his grandson, full name Shoghi Effendi Rabbani, or as he is commonly called in English, Shoghi Effendi. He appointed him as the guardian of the Baha'i faith. And he said that it was his responsibility to appoint a successor. And that successor needed to be a descendant of Baha'u'llah. It couldn't just be anyone. It had to be, the person had to conform to certain requirements, in other words. Well, sadly, over the course of Shoghi Effendi's life, all the people who were eligible to be appointed successors had broken away from the Baha'i faith in one way or another, had started their own sects of the Baha'i faith. And so the interesting thing is that Shoghi Effendi left no will. For a time, that confused me, because one of the requirements in the Baha'i faith is that one should write a will, which, by the way, I have not done yet either. I really need to write a will. I haven't done that myself. But one of the requirements in the Baha'i faith is that one should write a will. And the person who would have known the most about that would have been Shoghi Effendi. He built the Baha'i administrative order, the structure of the Baha'i administrative order. He established that structure. He laid it out. He planned it. He supervised the construction of buildings on Mount Carmel in Haifa, Israel, which is where the Baha'i administrative order is headquartered. So you would think that if anybody would know to leave a will, it would be him, but he did not. Then, when Shoghi Effendi died, because there was no one eligible, he did not appoint a successor. Now, I never put those things together before until relatively recently. And I put them together based on a question that another Baha'i asked me, and so I reflected on it, looked at the relevant texts, and all of a sudden it hit me. Now, I could be wrong. All I'm doing is sharing with you my own personal understanding of the subject. What I say has no authority whatsoever in the Baha'i faith, but it occurred to me that there was a connection between the fact that Shoghi Effendi did not write a will and the fact that he did not appoint a successor, that there was no second guardian because there was none eligible. What I realized for myself is that the reason why Shoghi Effendi, the guardian of the cause of God, Wali al-Amrillah in Arabic, or Wali Amrillah in Persian, that the reason why he did not write a will is as a sign from God that he was inspired to perform, that he would remain the guardian of the cause of God. There really is no separation between this world and the world to come. Any separation that we may think exists is really imaginary. We approach the next world when we dream. When we dream, we enter into what the Baha'i teachings call the Valley of Wonderment, the realm of guardian angels, or what is referred to by Jacob as in his vision of a ladder between earth and heaven, where angels climbed up and down that ladder. I think essentially the same thing. And so we, in our dreams, we enter into the Valley of Wonderment, where we can meet, commune with angels, as well as departed souls. I know, for example, that I have had several very vivid dreams of Elizabeth Thomas, whom I regard as my spiritual mother, since she was the first Baha'i that I ever spoke with, and she was the closest Baha'i to me ever in my life, and I love Elizabeth very deeply. So the fact that Shoghi Effendi is deceased means nothing. In other words, because Shoghi Effendi could not appoint a second guardian, Shoghi Effendi is still the guardian of the cause of God, Wali al-Amrullah. He is still Wali al-Amrullah. He never stopped being Wali al-Amrullah. And he is, in a sense, what I sometimes think of as the unseated member of the Universal House of Justice. Because in the Will and Testament written by Abdu'l-Baha, he says that the guardian would be a member of the House of Justice. And I don't see how that changed simply because, or that could have changed, or would have changed, simply because Shoghi Effendi had no one to appoint as a successor. So I think that Shoghi Effendi works very closely with the members of the House of Justice in this world, and there are 9 of them. And he is in constant communion with the House of Justice. He is a part of the House of Justice, but he is also the guardian of the cause of God. So we still, in the Baha'i faith, have a guardian. That guardian is discarnate, has no physical body anymore, but again, I don't see why that matters. When this personal realization or understanding occurred to me, my feeling of closeness to Shoghi Effendi increased tenfold, if not more. And it continues to increase. And I pray to Shoghi Effendi almost every night. I pray to a lot of souls, prophets, as well as other souls every night. Prayer is spiritual communion. So I pray or commune with angels and guardian angels. I pray to prophets. I pray to souls that I have known who are deceased. And I pray to some souls that I wish that I would have known but are deceased. Some souls that lived before I was born. I pray to a variety of souls, but these days I feel a special kindred connection with Shoghi Effendi, since I've realized his true station. Sadly, there have been some individuals who, perhaps out of a misunderstanding or egotism or some combination, most likely of both, have decided for themselves that they would become the new guardian. Problem is, none of them fit the requirements that were established in the Will and Testament. So, in other words, they were not descendants of Baha'u'llah. They had no relationship to Baha'u'llah or to Shoghi Effendi. And so they were from that standpoint unqualified to be in that position. So the only person who's qualified to be in that position is Shoghi Effendi. And the fact that he's deceased, to me, is really not relevant. I will try to get up another broadcast sooner than the 2 or 3 years that has elapsed between this one and the previous one. Bless all of you, and I would encourage those of you who are familiar with the Baha'i faith, and perhaps those of you who are unfamiliar with it, to investigate it. Baha'i is spelled B-A-H-A', and there are Baha'i websites all over. The official Baha'i website is Baha'i, Bahai.org, Baha'i.org. And I myself have numerous websites, most of them connected to the domain BahaiStudies.net. So good luck to you and have a good one.